Just glad to get back and get back at it tomorrow. I know our kids are really excited. I thought we've had a tremendous winter. It's the toughest winter that we've had since I've been here. I thought our kids responded well, and I'm anxious to see now the gains that we've made, from a strength standpoint and from a agility standpoint, and all the things that happen in the weight room needs to transition now to the field. And that's where it's important, as you all know. So we're excited to get going. We're going to see a lot of newcomers. It's almost like August at times out there with the Morels and the Artis Johnson, the Moody's, Darian Owens, Tyree Brady now for the first time actually being eligible. So be a lot of new faces running around out there, and I'm excited to watch them get back to work tomorrow. So we get going.
Have you noticed an extra hunger about the team, given they've had a couple months to sit on last season and think about it?
Well, I mean, we've moved forward, and I see great work ethic. I see guys getting back to doing what we've done in the past. We won a bunch of games around here, and they go to work every day, and that's what a football team has to do. We got to. It's important just having 15 practices now and only having 12 of them, as you know, in pads, that we can't let a day go by we don't get better. And that'll be the goal this spring, is to get out there tomorrow and get as much as we can possibly get done in shorts and take advantage of every day we get to become a better football team. And our kids understand that, and I'm seeing some young guys that have started to grow up and provide the leadership and the things that are necessary, taking ownership in the team and the things that are important to being a great team.
The JUCO guys that you have that you signed mid-year, extra importance for them to get in here because, not only did you need depth, but some leadership and some.
I thought the important thing was, Grant, was those kids, and it's unusual to get January midterm junior college kids. That's hard to find, and we've been very fortunate to get really good junior college kids around here since I've been here, from Taj Letman to Blackman to Neville Hewitt. I mean, we haven't missed on very many of those guys, and from what I see from these guys, now, of course, you got to put the pads on and see it transition to the field, but these guys have been great, everything they've done. They've been tremendous in the classroom. They've been tremendous in the weight room. They haven't missed a beat. They've came in here, and they look like they fit in, right from the start. And so it's going to be exciting to watch all of them get out there and again, see how they react on the field. But I'm excited about those guys, along with Owens, who joined us, of course, in January. He wasn't a JUCO kid, but was eligible in January. And, of course, Brady, we know a lot about. You've seen Brady out there. We like what he could do, too.
Doc, I know you've looked at a lot of film. What's the number one, you started on the mat drills, obviously, but what's the number one thing that you saw on film that you think you've got to get out here and correct as quickly as possible?
Well, I think we just got to become better football players. I mean, I think we were not a good team in any way, shape, or form. I mean, we got to get better as a football team. I thought, this program and what's happened since I've been here is built on toughness, and toughness and those type of things. And the one thing that we've preached, and there'll be a different word for every week. This week will be consistency. I mean, you got to be consistent in what you do. You got to go to work every day, and the way you handle yourself, whether it be in the classroom, whatever you're doing. Be consistent what you do so it can carry over on the field. And so we're going to work really hard at again, going to work every day and preparing to be not only a better player but a better team.
Where do things stand among the quarterbacks going into
It's all, I mean, it doesn't matter. We've told everybody it doesn't matter where you line up. We're going to line up and everybody's going to have the opportunity to compete for that position, and the quarterbacks will be no different. So those guys will get equal number of reps, and we'll see where it goes. But there's so much that goes into being a quarterback, as you know, and the intangibles are so important and everything goes along with it. So those things will all be evaluated, and all those guys have done a tremendous job since they got back here in January of taking care of their business. So we'll see where it goes.
Your quarterback coach is enthusiastic, to say the least. He's been tweeting stuff out like crazy, and I think Todd feels like there's a chance with these quarterbacks to really do something special this first year. And judge his performance so far as you've moved him into that position.
Well, he's just as you mentioned, he's very enthusiastic. He loves ball. He loves coach. Not than any other coach. I mean, if you don't love the game, it's a business you probably shouldn't be in, because there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of time and a lot of that goes into it. But he's a tremendous football coach. He was a tremendous player when he played the position. He's coached extremely well as the offensive coordinator at Ohio Dominican, where their offenses did a really nice job. So I'm excited. I've really, and the one thing we've had the opportunity to do is, as you know, the rules have changed, and have been able to coach these guys since the discretionary period was over in January. So we're actually able to go into the indoor or even out here when the weather was nice and actually coach guys without balls and that type of thing. So I've been able to watch the work that he's put in with his individual drills and that type of thing, and I like what I see. I mean, he's going to do a great job of developing those guys, and at the end of the day, we'll have a quarterback.
You put a lot of thought into your coaching staff rearrangement, and you didn't let go of anybody who didn't move on to other jobs. I mean, talk about the restructured staff for this spring.
Well, let me say this to you, and don't get me wrong. We had to get better. We were not a good offensive football. We weren't a good football team, period, a year ago. So let's don't put it just on the offense. Let's put it on our entire staff. I mean, our defense wasn't a good team, and we just were not a good football team. But I think if you look back over the body of the work that some of these coaches have done over the last 8 years, I've been here 8, and Billy's been here going on 8. It's hard to believe, but I mean, we've had some pretty damn good offenses around here. I mean, if you go back and look at the record books over the years, we probably had 2 or 3 of the best offenses in the history of Marshall football. So it's not like we got all of a sudden we didn't know how to coach or we didn't know how to call play. A lot of it was personnel driven. Now, could we help those in offense? Hell yeah. I mean, we can do things better offensively as coaches. There's no doubt about that. So, we've gone to work, Doug, to answer your question. We've taken a lot of great. I mean, we've been to Ohio State. We've been to Clemson. We've been to Mississippi State. We've been to Baylor. As a staff, we've been a lot of places together. As much information as we can. 3 years previously, a lot of those staffs were coming here to talk to us about what we were doing offensively. So it wasn't totally broke. I mean, we can coach them better. A lot of it was personnel driven. A lot of it was putting them in position as coaches to make better plays. But that being said, we just had to make some tweaks. We got to change some things and to help us offensively take advantage of the skill set that we have, and we'll do that. And but I like where we are. I like the addition. I think I know we announced Dallas Baker as the receiver coach today. He was at Florida. He's a 2-time captain at Florida. Won him on a national championship team. He won a Super Bowl with the Steelers, and that doesn't mean a whole lot as a coach, but that means he's you talk to Urban about him. He's the most competitive receiver I've ever been around. He'll be a great teacher for our kids. The thing I like about Dallas, he grew up at New Smyrna, grew up very tough, just like a lot of our players did. So he's going to be able to help our kids a lot, and I'm anxious. I've seen him work for a couple of weeks now, but he'll be a great addition, and I like where we are as a staff, and moving forward, we'll get better.
You mentioned the new receiver coach. So talk about the receivers. I mean, it's almost like you've got a blank slate to start over with.
Well, they're a group that, from what I've seen in skill development, all that, they're a talented group. Now they got to become players. I mean, Tyree Brady, you all saw a lot of him. Willie Johnson, we saw spurts of him a year ago prior to breaking his fibula there, so he's back healthy, ready to go. And Darian Owens, you're going to like what you see. We took Hylick Foster, put him back out there. Marcel Williams is another JUCO kid I hadn't mentioned that's here. He's been everything right since he's been here. I like him a lot. I think you're going to like watching him practice. So we've added I felt like, the one thing we didn't have, that we weren't very explosive. And not just because we just, the year prior to that, we had Reeves, who came out of nowhere his senior year, but gave us a lot of explosion on offense along with Rock and some people. But I think you'll see probably more speed out there at that wide receiver position this year than you've seen in a long time. I think we'll have guys that can stretch the field, and that's good for the herd. That's good for us.
Who will be limited or just playing out this spring? I know C.J. Reeves was wearing one of my slings.
Yeah, he just looks a lot about like you right now, running around out there. But he'll be limited because he has the shoulder surgeries. Had both of them, matter of fact. So he'll be out there running around doing some individual. Caleb Harris has been medically where he cannot play medically. He's got the concussion thing. He's got the point where he can no longer play. So he will not be out there. But so he's one that's out for good. Help me, Jason. Is there anybody else? I think everybody else is pretty much good to go.
Fred Deneau's departure was a little bit of a surprise. Was there?
I mean, there's attrition is unfortunately happens. I mean, if you look all over there's not a program I've been to that I've coached, or there's not one. I was over to Ohio State 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, and they had 4 or 5 guys. And I look at Tennessee, and the guy's 800 yards or 400 yards away from being the leading rusher in the history of Tennessee, and he's gone. So, unfortunately, in today's world, I doubt that there's a football program out there that you guys do the research, and if there is, tell me who it is, that at some point doesn't lose 3 or 4 players every year to attrition, especially to quarterback position. I think if you look around the country right now, if you're a quarterback and you're not in position to play, you're gone. And so that's, it's not like it used to be that, kids stuck it out and were part of the team and played their entire career. There is some attrition. Do you like it? No, you don't like anything about it. But that being said, I mean, there's not a program in America that has it, and you just got to move on and make sure you have somebody there ready to play. So we've had a couple guys, but it's not unusual. It's not just us. I mean, everybody I talked to, I think I saw Michigan had a couple guys leaving here recently. Alabama's got it every year. So I think there's every team in the country that's going to sit here at this time, and not particularly here, but at the end of spring ball, I guarantee you're going to pick up those newspapers everywhere, and there's going to be a lot of guys throughout the country that are leaving because they see at the end of spring ball they don't have the opportunity to play. So that's going to happen.
Got a lot of redshirt freshmen, or at least, 5 on the line, Cody Mitchell.
Yeah, I like them. I like those guys. I like those guys a lot. And Barons is another guy that won't be full that we didn't mention, and going into it. And there may be one other one, Doug. I'm not just trying, but he'll be out there doing drills. But you're right. There are some young guys. But you know what? Our guy Levi Brown last year plays as a redshirt freshman, 170 pounds. He's 295 right now, and so he looks great. And he'll be a much improved football player this year at center. But he started 12 games a year ago. And then you got Dowry, who's last year those guys going into the season. There was 5 of them that did not have summer and winter conditioning. They all had it this year. I'm talking Dowry, I'm talking Devers, I'm talking Beno, I'm talking Sandley, I'm talking all those guys had surgeries and missed most of the conditioning, but they're all healthy. Sandley started a lot of football for us. Devers has, Dowry has, Levi Brown has, Alex Locklear's had a tremendous off season, and Addison's played an awful lot of football for us. So you got that nucleus there that have played a lot. Then you got a bunch of young guys. Millette is a guy that I think you guys are going to like, watching the way he plays. So those young guys have to grow up fast, and those guys that played a lot of football have to get better and get ready to go.
You mentioned the attrition, and is it one of those situations with the coach? Yeah, you don't like attrition, but it gets guys that actually want to be here, some added reps in the spring type situation.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, like I say, you don't want to lose, and you have attrition for different reasons. And you have attrition, number one, because of playing time. A lot of guys think, well, heck, I can't play there, so especially the quarterback position, so I'm going to go somewhere else where I have the opportunity. And then, football's a tough game. I mean, it's a game that, this winter was hard. And I mean, if you didn't love that game and you're not tough, chances are you don't want to be a part of it. And that's everywhere. And and there's nothing wrong with that. You got guys that just lose the love to play the game, and it's not for everybody. And but you want to find that out. I mean, that's what you sure want to find out. You want to find that out in January, February, March, and April, and not August and September. So that's important that the winter is the way it is, and at the end of the day, I told those guys at the beginning of this whole deal, those that stay will be champions. And that's kind of what it's really all about. Who you line up with out there. Number one, they're tough. Number two, they love football. And it's important to them. And if you have those kind of guys around you, then you got a chance to, do what we've done here the last 3 years, not what happened last year.
You've been doing it for 40 years, Doc. Is the hardest thing the way kids, not changing, but there's just so many different things now. They're getting so built up at a young age sometime, and they're all having this hat ceremony for where they're going, and they all think they're very special and should play right away, and we all know it doesn't work that way, but you can't tell somebody that. They can only learn that. Is that toughest for you guys as coaches, adjusted to that and the social media and all the things that kids have that, 10 years ago you wouldn't have even been talking about this?
There's no question. I read a quote from Frank Martin, who's the head coach of South Carolina, and I've always felt this way. And one thing he said, I read somewhere today, he said, kids aren't different. He said, we are. I mean, the way they're, and he's right. And I've said all along, I said, kids aren't different today than what they were when we grew up. But the teachers are different, the parents are different, the principals are different, the coaches are different. But if you treat kids and demand, what you want out of them, they're going to respond. I truly believe that. But is it different? Absolutely. The social media thing just drives you crazy. I mean, my God, it's half of them. That's all they do. I mean, they sit around. They sit around all day long and they're on this damn phone of theirs. And you know what? It's funny because I never felt. And I'm probably going a place I shouldn't go here, but I never felt as a coach that you had to teach kids to listen. But what's happened? I mean, anymore, we spent time this winter, honest to goodness, in our strength program at the end of every session where we taught kids, where they had to learn how to listen to get through the task. But kids today, they're so damn busy on these phones and computers and all that, they don't know how to listen. All they do is they sit on these, and I think, so one thing I found, and you know what, as the winter went on, we got better. I mean, our kids got to the point, we started out there the first day, and it took us almost 40 minutes to get through 12 reps apiece of a skill development deal. Because they didn't learn how to touch the line, do this, do that. I never felt you had to, so we started this deal at the end of the very session where they got to listen to commands as a team and follow those commands. And right now, we're pretty daggone good at it. But it's a skill that you wouldn't think is you have to teach kids growing up. But I guess are they different? Maybe that's part of it. They're different because they're so involved in all this social media and TV and computers and all. They don't learn. People don't communicate talking anymore. It's all this and texting and all that. And I honest to goodness, I never felt you had to teach kids how to listen, but I've changed. You have to. You have to have drills throughout. And we do the same thing now with our meetings and all those things of just teaching them how to, there's a lot of, for example, some teams are going through more walkthroughs than they are sitting in meetings because they feel they're getting more out of it because when they're actually out there on the field walking through their assignments, they learn better than they do sitting there listening in a classroom situation. So maybe that's part of our testing problems and everything else that we're getting into through grade school and junior high and all that is kids today, they don't know how to listen. But we worked hard on that, and I think our kids they've done a good job with that.
Doc, how quickly is establishing some leaders important to getting back and bouncing back?
I think that's all important, and part of what we did this winter was that, was part of what we've done this winter is put people in leadership positions to see how they respond. And you know what, when we're talking about that task of toughness and what we did for the listening part of it, it wasn't the coaches talking, it was the kids. We explained it to the kids and then they had to explain it to their teammates. And it was really interesting because at that point you see the leaders, when things weren't going well, you see how they reacted, who steps up, but who makes sure things happen the right way. So there's a lot of things that went into what we did this winter to try to determine that and try to help us that because without leadership, you've got no chance.
All good?
Thanks, guys.